Hey, what's up? I'm your host, Christian Patterson, here to bring you this week's edition of TV20's Inside Sports Report. The 2019 NCAA Fencing Championship was hosted in partnership with the Greater Cleveland Sports Commission and Cleveland State University at the Wolstein Center. A number of student athletes made their way to Cleveland to determine the national collegiate individual and team champions in both men's and women's fencing.
Well, the NCAA Fencing Championships rotates around, so we go to different places, and we're fortunate that Cleveland State and the Wolstein Center and the Greater Cleveland Sports Commission were willing to host it this year for us. Last year was at Penn State, this year's Cleveland, next year's Detroit. We go back to Penn State, and then it goes to Notre Dame, so it does move around the country. So we've appreciated the hospitality in Cleveland this week.
NCAA's for fencing is unlike any tournament like for fencing anywhere else, right? There's no other tournament where you come and you fence every single other person that comes. Usually it's just a bracket or something like that. So it's definitely it's a lot of fun. It can also be really stressful. And you gotta have a game plan going into every single bout. Most of these guys, I've been fencing for 10 or 12 years, So it's also kind of fun to once we're all in college and we're all gonna go and do different stuff in our lives, it's fun to see everybody one last time and fence everybody. So, it's a really cool tournament.
I'm a freshman and this is my first year coming, so I'm really happy about being here. The competition's great. There's a lot of very strong fencers here, very difficult, lots of hard work, but I had a lot of fun.
Well, a lot of student athletes have met each other in the junior circuit or international circuit, so sometimes they fence during the season against each other, so they're renewing some acquaintances, for example, if the teams from their region are here. But then also they get to face some different competition that they've not faced fencers from different parts of the country. So it's a variety mix, but a lot of these fencers are familiar with each other.
Our home team, the Ohio State Buckeyes, sent 10 fencers to the tournament, which was too shy of the 12 max.
Well, first of all, I'm from Cleveland and I started fencing in Cleveland, so it's great to be home. Having it 2 hours away from home, from Columbus, makes it really easy from the standpoint of it's an easy commute. Our athletes are able to come up. We can get the kind of crowd and fan support, so we should be the local favorites.
We have a lot of individually very strong people. I personally could have fenced better, but I think as a team, there's a lot of strong people, and that'll give us a very good chance of winning.
Fencing is very prestigious and one of only 4 sports to be included in every modern Olympic Games, since the first in 1896. But what makes a great fencer?
Everybody brings something different. It's very mental because at the highest level, everybody can do everything. I mean, some people might do this better, but it just comes down to, I think, the mentality. The being able to fight even though you know you're down, or being able to win bouts that you don't think you can, even when it's stacked against you. It's a lot of mental.
For me, personally, I think at this stage, at the NCAAs, it's 100% mental. Everybody at this point has the skill to beat everybody else. And since the bouts are short, they're only 5 touches, whereas usually we fence to 15. Going into each bout with a good plan, really having a plan is so powerful, and that's that really makes the difference. And because everybody has their techniques, everybody has their actions, everybody has their physical shape or whatever that they can rely on, but the difference what's going to make the difference in the outcome is whoever has the better plan.
Kids get involved with different sports for a variety of reasons. So when Coach Anthony told me he started fencing because of a movie, it didn't surprise me at all.
So I started fencing at 7 or 8 years old. I was watching Zorro as a child, saying, "Mom, I want to learn how to do that." I didn't even know what that was. Happened to be fencing. My mother, being a resourceful school librarian here in Cleveland, found a place for me to start fencing, which was Caramel House on Quincy. And I fenced from 7 till I was 11. And then and during that period, fencing was small, but it was basically, we fenced at the Jewish Community Center and at Caramel House. Opened my eyes up to a different side of the world. From there, the sport in Cleveland has grown. We have a number of clubs here in Cleveland, and they are always looking for more people to participate, and they make the sport very accessible.
Columbia Fencing claimed its 16th national championship title and their 3rd national title since 2015. This is the first time in program history that Columbia won both the national championship team title along with 2 individual championship titles. The Cleveland Browns continue to raise the bar as community partners with the city of Cleveland. The Browns organization recently renovated 3 recreation centers in the city of Cleveland as part of their First and 10 initiative.
If we rewind to last season, we came out to Cadell Rec Center with a bunch of players, the safety forces, to visit the kids that were playing the Junior Browns flag football program. So we were out there for the competition, having a good old time, and the players, being kids themselves, wanted to head inside the rec center and take a look at what the kids do, what the opportunities are within those centers. And while we were there, they played basketball, and they said, wouldn't it be cool if we can go to some of the rec centers and really make some improvements, give them some new equipment, maybe change up some of the rooms. And from there, the idea just kind of took a life of its own. Throughout the season, we were talking with the players, collaborating with them through our social impact initiative, and the players themselves made financial contributions, and the Browns matched to make sure that we could revisit some of the rec centers. And by working directly with the head of the department, we identified 3 different rec centers that we were going to head out to during the off season to come with volunteers as part of our First and 10 volunteer movement and really try to transform some of the spaces and provide new equipment for the kids.
We walked around the rec center, just kind of showing them around the rooms, and they saw some of the needs that we needed, some updates and some renovations, and we just brainstormed from there. Some of the equipment that they asked if we needed updating was basketballs, footballs, soccer balls, and we were all welcomed for that because we got a lot of kids at the rec center, and they really go through the equipment pretty fast.
We've been at 3 rec centers taking care of painting, renovations with all kinds of Browns employees, other staff as well. It's been absolutely awesome to see the clients there, the kids and our people just enjoying themselves and really coming together and having fun with this.
By working directly with the Department of Recreation, the Browns were able to identify 3 rec centers to transform during the off-season as part of their First and 10 volunteer movement.
So when we were doing some site visits with the City of Cleveland Parks and Rec Department, they took us to Fairfax, they took us to Lonnie Burton, as well as the site we're at today, Michael's Zone. And while we were looking at those sites, we kind of did an assessment of, you know, if we could do something that would help out the rec center, what does that look like? And from there, the ideas all grew, and at each center we did something uniquely different, but there is the consistent brown and orange stripes that you'll see on each of the walls to just bring our the Cleveland Browns into each of the centers in a very unique, authentic way.
It's important to give back to everyone if you can. I mean, we have what we have. If we can help at all, why not? You know, to open yourself, to give it some time, to help out the community and give back to those who possibly gave to you before.
That's huge for the kids to see the professional players such as the Browns coming out and giving back to their the city and the kids and the rec centers. To them, that's huge because they look up to them and they want to be role models. They need people to look up to. So it's great that the kids have the Cleveland Browns organization to look up to.
These newly renovated activity rooms give the kids a better environment to enjoy themselves with their friends while utilizing their local recreation centers. And Michael's Zone Rec Center manager, Monica, was so glad to see the finished product when she walked into work that morning.
When I first came in and what we talked about and what is actually happening, it was like reality hit, and it was like, wow, I can't believe this is like coming true. I mean, the equipment, everything that they donated, they really delivered. Things that we were just ideas, really took place, and it's just community coming together. The volunteers, Jenner and Bridget, like I said, are doing a wonderful job, and seeing some of the players out here with the kids was great.
The fan support that we've had throughout Cleveland has been tremendous. We're really looking forward to the season, and this is just a small way that we can give back to the kids that are going to be cheering us on throughout the entire season, and we're really happy to be here.
Well, the Cleveland Fusion is a great organization. I think it's really unique as far as bringing together women from all different backgrounds to play football. So not only is it a sport that we've been told for so long we can't play, so we're kind of breaking barriers in that regard, but really just the camaraderie that we have and the family that we've built, I think really shows Cleveland in a great light, and to have some wins for us this season is going to be great to bring home.
I think it's wonderful. I mean, these women come out here and, I mean, we got girls on our team that are seniors in high school to people that are in their 40s. And it's just giving them the opportunity to play a game that they don't typically normally get to play, you know, and nobody even thinks they should be playing. You know, you might see them play flag football or something like that, but you see so many more girls getting involved with football. You know, it used to be once in a blue moon you see a girl. Now there's, you know, multiple teams with girls on the team. So I think it's wonderful. I mean, it's the sport is of all sports is one of these ones that's growing. I mean, it's growing around the country. You see more and more women wanting to play football, and it's just great. I mean, you know, football is, everybody loves football. So in America, so I think it's really great that they're getting this opportunity.
I grew up watching it with my dad and my brother. Every Saturday was college football. Every Sunday we grew up watching the Minnesota Vikings. I'm originally from Iowa, so we don't have our own team, but I always wanted to play and never had the opportunity. So once I met Coach Jackson and found out that women's football was a real legitimate sport that female can play and compete in, I was all on.
When you're 23, 25, 30, 18, you still have in your mindset that football is only for men. So when we sit down and we meet these young ladies and we talk to them about all the opportunities that our league have and the opportunity that they can play football, that those dreams of when they had 16 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, that those dreams still can come true, that those dreams can actually be achieved.
Women's sports in general has been kind of an uphill battle. You know, we're struggling with equal pay, equal recognition in the media, all sorts of things. And so building the sports team up has been a challenge in that regard. But I think it's great to see the women out on the field, because when you see them play, it's like nothing I've ever seen before.
Just from a position-wise, probably wide receiver and DB are probably the easiest ones to transition, because it's running routes, you know, doing something precise, you know, taking 3 steps, cutting in at an angle, things like that. I think they're real good at. And then just understanding what they should be doing on each play, you know, being able to draw it up and them actually execute it. I think they're pretty good at. The hardest thing is probably just the upper body strength, so the line positions, you know, being able to, you know, block is probably harder, but, you know, and tackle, same thing, you know, there's not another sport out there like football where you're actually tackling somebody or actually coming up and hitting someone, so those are probably the hardest. But probably just like the running and the skill type positions are probably the easiest to transition.
The Cleveland Fusion franchise is a family, and family sticks together. So it was a no-brainer for former player Martina Latessa to move into a coaching role after playing for numerous years.
Players that I coach now never got to see, so it's getting them to buy into my program, like to trust the process that I'm doing. So when I say, oh, I've done this, you know, so that's kind of like the hard part, is because they never were there. They never got to see what I'm talking about. But it wasn't hard at all. I think that like they'll bleed off hopefully on my passion and get them in what I realized of being a female athlete and coaching female athletes, so I kind of have that edge on them, because these girls, you have to be there emotionally for them, psychologically, mentally. I mean, it's up and down, it is emotional. So not only am I like their coach, I want to be their big sister, I want to be their friend.
I enjoy it so much. I grew up playing basketball, being part of a team since I was 8 years old, and you kind of lose that after you go to college and you graduate, and all of a sudden you're in the workforce, sitting in a cubicle every day. You miss that family and that team and the competitiveness. So just having that back in your life is awesome. And I met so many different people that I never would have met in any other aspect of my life here.
The Cleveland Fusion opened their season on the road in Pittsburgh against the Passion, and Clevelanders are very familiar with Pittsburgh when it comes to football.
It's definitely a rivalry there. I mean, a lot of women go and watch the Cleveland Browns versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, even on both sides. So to be able to be a part of it now, to say, hey, we have a rivalry here of our own in women's football, it means a lot.
I think we've got a lot more talent this year, a lot more commitment, and we're ready to see where we are. It's kind of a benchmark, see where we are that first game.
When we see them, it's like, yo, if we go 1-7 and we beat them, we're good. You know, it's still one of those type of things where, you know, it's still that Cleveland-Pittsburgh thing. You know, it's the orange and brown versus the black and gold as always.
And 1 week later, Make sure you come out and support your Cleveland Fusion for their first home game.
So our first home game is April 13th at Maple Heights High School against Indianapolis. Obviously it's Cleveland, so the weather's kind of hit or miss come that time of year. But we have 4 home games in total, so our next games will be May 11th, as well as June 1st and June 8th. So we'd love to have you guys come out to Maple Heights High School. It's a really family-friendly environment. Kids 12 and under are free, so it's totally affordable for, for everyone to come on out and see these women, kill it on the field.
Make sure you go out and support your Cleveland Fusion women's football team April 13th at Maple Heights High School for their first home game of the season. Make sure you go out and support your Cleveland Fusion women's football team April 13th at Maple Heights High School for their first home game of the season. Thanks for watching the Inside Sports Report. If you would like to catch past episodes of the Inside Sports Report, Classic Sports, or any city championship games, head over to our TV20 YouTube channel and click on subscribe.